Hey, shh. Calm down. The show is about to start. Reese on the radio. Turn it up. Turn it up loud. Turn it up loud.
It's like a dream come true.
Turn on your radio. Reese is on the radio.
Yo, let's get it.
Due to the nature of this program, discretion does not exist. It's Reese on the radio. Right now on WTIC News Talk 1080.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to your week. It is none other than Reese on the radio on NewsTalk 1080 WTIC. I hope everybody had a wonderful Mother's Day with mama, grandmama, great-grandmama, baby mama. I hope y'all all had a wonderful weekend with your moms. Those of you who remembered your moms who have passed away, those who are still with us, maybe you have an estranged mom, you maybe thinking about your mom, things like that. I know that feeling. But I hope everybody did have a wonderful holiday and all of you moms got the respect that you deserved. I say that because, of course, as you may remember from Friday's show, we had the memory of a woman desecrated by an event that, from what I understand, the story went national last Friday. It related to the funeral of Ida Hawkins Green is her name, and some 150 mourners who showed up for her funeral. And that became a big story. Well, we have details about that story that you have not heard, and you are going to be hearing for the first time from yours truly, but you will have to wait for that. We are also going to be joined by one of the police officers who carried out the casket of Ida Hawkins Green after the shooting melee at the church. That is going to be Hartford Police Detective Phillip Fuschino is going to join us at 4 o'clock. We'll talk to him about the event that led or how he ended up carrying Miss Ida Hawkins Green's casket to the hearse to, of course, send her to her last resting place. We'll talk to him about how all of that unfolded and to honor those officers who did that and the Hartford Police Department because they stepped up and did what was right. And I want to show them their respect and show this officer his respect. And I want to thank the chief of police in Hartford, the interim chief of police, for making that interview happen today. I want to thank all the Hartford Police Department. I want to tell you this before I get to the opening monologue about the Hartford Police Department and why this host has a special place in his heart for those officers. All of them, the men, the women, the front office, all of them, those who serve Hartford. Why I have a special place for them. And that is when Reese on the radio first got here, many of you who have been listening from when I got here 3 years ago, you might remember the story about a 61-year-old man who was sleeping in a hallway of a building in a staircase, very reminiscent of my life as a homeless teenager. 61-year-old man like me when I was 15, sleeping in a staircase, leaving early in the morning to not disrupt people or get, kicked out into the cold or to get arrested or people to think that, he was trespassing. But when I heard that story, I was talking about it and tried to get in touch with the writer of that story from the Hartford Current, who I couldn't get to her in enough time. And she called and apologized. I think her name is Allison Scott or Allison. I can't remember Allison's last name. Forgive me. But anyway, she finally did get in touch with me, and she apologized that she couldn't talk about it. But anyway, as I was reporting on that story, the Hartford Police Department called the show and said, hey, make sure you tell Reese we are looking for him. And I didn't ask the police. I was asking anyone who knew the guy if they could help him out. But the police department, Hartford Police, called the station and asked to come on the air. They just told Matt Sorois, hey, tell Reese we're looking for him and we're going to find him. And before the show was over, they found him. His name is Calvin. They found him and they had him housed immediately at a facility because he needed back surgery, and I think they were setting him up to get back surgery. So that's what the Hartford Police Department did in my first weeks ever at WTIC, and they didn't have to do that to call me and let me know they were on it, but they because of my reporting on that story, they sprung into action, and they found him. And that has always left an indelible mark on me, and I will always show them the respect that they deserve, because they didn't have to, but they let me know that they were on the job, and they got that job done. I mean, it took them minutes. I mean, maybe even hours, I should say, because by the time I was off the air, they found Calvin, and they had him housed. So they deserve a round of applause. I know people hate the canned applause, but this is the way I show respect. You're going to have to get used to it. Now, that being said, I've got other deals and stuff I've got to deal with because it's related to law enforcement. And if you were watching over the weekend, you may have heard about this little Newark, New Jersey melee. Did you hear about that? Well, members of Congress went down there, and a mayor of a major city in New York City goes down to the Newark Homeland Security Detention Center, where over 75% of the people who are there are gangbangers, drug dealers, murderers, rapists. These bozos went down there to go check up on the inmates, make sure that everybody was getting a well home-cooked meal, whether or not the place was climate control, whether or not everybody's getting their calisthenics in. Huh? Is everybody getting a pudding cup? Is everybody getting a pudding cup? That's what they were out there doing. And and remember, these Congress people are responsible for laws. So in essence, they are law enforcement to some degree, right? They write the laws, and law enforcement pretty much lays out. They write the laws. The men and women in uniform, they carry out those laws to make sure that people are safe. And who do the Congress people get into a tiff with? Oh, the very law enforcement they work with. They're all a part of the government. They went out there and they demonized those people, pushing and shoving. Remember, these are the people who are now trying to tell us they were not screaming, defund the police. These are the people who were saying, we never compared ICE to the KKK. But you did. An old drinky drunk girl, Kamala Harris, was one of the people saying it. Yes, I called her drinky the drunk girl. She was out there comparing them in a Senate hearing to the Klan. You all remember it. These are the people who are trying to demonize law enforcement. ICE agents, police officers. That's who they are. That's what they're doing. See, here we respect those who run towards the danger instead of away from it. Here we respect those who keep us safe. We demonize the people who tie their hands together to keep them from doing their job. Hey, Justin Elliker, we're not going to help federal agents, remember? Those people are the ones that we demonize. Those who put restrictions on the things that police officers need to do to keep the rest of us safe. We don't stand for that here. While everybody else is acting like, I saw a post today referring to, and just to give you exactly what type of scum is out there, going back to the Ida Hawkins Green story. I saw a post, and the only reason why I saw it is because they shared it from my post of the photograph of the police officers carrying her casket. Some guy shared my post on his timeline, and he wrote, and I quote, "I would never speak to another one of my family members if the pigs had to escort my grandmother out to her hearse." This piece of garbage couldn't even recognize the good work that those police officers did. As soon as I saw the post, I said, probably a Democrat. Couldn't even show those officers the grace and respect that they deserved. That's who these people are. When they sit around here wonder why they've lost, if they sit around here wondering why no one has any respect for them when they're screaming bloody murder at the top of their lungs, it's because we know who they are. We know what they respect. We know what they honor. They honor cretins. They honor the worst of the worst. They think they're the hip ones while we're the squares. Remember when I told you that they were the party of slavery? Remember when I told you that? Remember when I said that that's always going to be who they are? Well, that's because they are who I said they were. Here is Mayor Bas Baraka. He's the mayor of Newark, New Jersey, who was arrested over the weekend. This is him in 2017 talking to Al Sharpton of Politics Nation about immigration, about sanctuary cities, and what ICE and the Trump administration want from sanctuary mayors. Listen closely to how he refers to getting these illegals, criminals for that matter, off the streets.
Why are they targeting and how do you respond?
Well, I think that them targeting sanctuary cities is a way for them to tell mayors and other folks, around the country, one, that they're sticking to what I think is a very unconstitutional and un-American policy, and trying to intimidate us into being what I've called fugitive slave catchers, to run around and do their bidding in our cities. And if we refuse to do that, then it makes it difficult for them to continue their policy because they don't have the resources to kind of run down all of the undocumented residents locally.
Now, did you hear what Ross Baraka referred to the illegal immigrants that ICE is trying to round up and get out of the country? Did you hear it? He called it runaway slaves. That's what he called them. I told you who the Democrat Party was because that's the way they see all of them. You see, the Democrats, they've decided that they're going to free the slaves so that they can pick the cotton, so that they can clean the toilets, so that they can clean your hotel rooms and the hospital beds. That's what the Democrat Party do. They are freeing the slaves. Yeah, that's him. That is Ross Baraka in 2017.
Into being what I've called fugitive slave catchers, to run around and do their bidding.
We would have nobody cleaning up in the hospitals.
The people in the service industry that are cleaning the restrooms.
Then who is going to be cleaning your toilet, Donald Trump?
So I had to go around the country and educate people about what immigrants do for this country. We done picking cotton. We are. You can't pay us enough to find a plantation.
Into being what I've called fugitive slave catchers, to run around and do their bidding.
That's who they are. Democrat Party is freeing the slaves so they can get back to work for them. Come on over here, Manuel. Come on, Carmen. We're going to free you from incarceration so you can get back to the hotel, so you can get back to the fields, so you can get back to the restrooms and clean our toilets. Fugitive slave trade. I know who they are. I am not surprised by this, but you are. You say, damn, Reese, I never even realized that. They do see these people as their slaves. That's who they are. That's how they see all of their constituents, as people who serve them, not the other way around. That's how we get the term ruling class. They tell you what you can do, what you can say, what you can have. Protect yourself with guns? Nah, we confiscating that. You want to start a business? No. What kind of business? How can we regulate that? You know, we got to get our piece. You found a way around government? We're going to have to make some new rules. You can't start no business without us getting our piece. Don't you remember who you work for? I thought you worked for me. No. It ain't been like that in a long time. You slaves. See, the rest of us, we don't have any problem with recognizing what's at stake here. We know who these people are. Don't you find it fascinating? Don't you? Don't you find all of this incredibly strange and weird? That you, conservatives, flag-loving, family-loving, God-loving, you're now the cool group? Don't you remember when you were the square? You got married before you had children. You bought a house. You got a mortgage. You had 2 cars, 2.3 kids, and a dog. Remember when you were the square? Those days are over. This isn't a pendulum swing, by the way. I thought that for a long time. It's not a pendulum swing. These people got too weird. They got too crazy. They got so crazy, they reverted back to who they always were from the beginning. Slavers. Radical slavers who believe in violence and extremism to get their way. Censorship, threats, destruction, extortion. That's who they are. And I don't care what liberal thinks that it's wrong to paint them that way. You've got a choice. You don't have to be down with this camp. And if you think that what I'm saying is wrong, go ask some of the radicals in your group about whether or not any of it is true. No one's saying you have to be one of us. We're just asking, who are you? Because if you wake up every morning and you're voting for that because you don't want to be with us, you're part of the problem. We recognize it. Question is, do you? We don't care if you want to join. We don't care if you want to be a conservative. We don't care if you want to vote for Trump or J.D. Vance or any other person who's on the MAGA right. We don't care. The question is whether or not you're going to sit idly by while the people you vote for destroy the country, promote slave labor, admonish the police, eradicate law and order, let the lunatics run the asylum. When are you going to stand up against that? You don't have to vote for us in order to stand up for what's right. You just have to stand up for what's right. And if you can't do that, to hell with you. We've got this. We'll come back. More news, more views, more audio sound bites when we return. Stick around. You do not want to miss 4:30 today. You do not. Or 4 o'clock for that matter, but you do not want to miss 4:30 today. So stick around for that. It's Reese on the radio on NewsTalk 1080 WTIC.
Reese on the radio, making sense of the news. Yeah, even when it makes no sense at all. Now on WTIC, NewsTalk 1080.
Plenty of things to talk about today, but of course, in the 4 o'clock hour, we're going to spend a very extensive time on this Friday show. You may have heard at the top of the hour news, John Vila talked about the arrest of Joshua Smelly, who is, according to police, the person who fired shots at the funeral of Ida Hawkins Green that was, of course, covered in a lot of news outfits across the country, and, of course, was a major news story here in Hartford. I'm telling you this because, I don't like the BS, and plus, you know, I tell you, I've been in this thing for a long time, and I've never referred to myself as a journalist because, one, I never went to school. I have no journalism degree, but I know this job. as a reporter, as someone who has gone to cover stories. I have been able to break stories in the past that you have no idea, because I don't talk about, that involved a lot of major players in some of, from everybody to Al Sharpton, to Clarence X, to, trust me, with heaps of people in the game. These stories have broken because of me, but I don't run around telling tales out of school. That's not important. It's not about getting accolades for me. But I will tell you that in an hour, I am going to break news on this story. And I have the evidence to back it up. Wholeheartedly. I have the evidence to back it up. So you can bet that what I'm about to tell you at 4:30 has been 100% verified. Not speculative. 100% verified. Through my own eyes and corroborating witnesses. So you do not want to miss it. And I'm holding it off. This is not a tease, so I'm trying to get the most out of it. I have other things that I have to address, which I'm going to address. But that, we will deal with it for the rest of the show. And I know people are going to be paying attention. Politicians, by the way, you need to pay attention to this story because, again, you may need to interfere. I don't want to use the term interfere, but you may need to intervene in some way. Okay? And others whom I respect in law enforcement may have to consider this. Like I said, I would not be talking about this if I did not verify it. And I spent the entire Sunday making sure that I had this verified. So we'll talk about that and we'll get into it. But trust me when I tell you, this story has a background. And as random as it may appear, it was not. It's far worse than you could imagine. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. Eric, hello. How are you in the chat room? And everybody else who's joined the chat room. And again, I hope everybody had a wonderful Mother's Day. I took the wife out shopping at one of these outdoor malls this week. What, if I may ask, before I go bandying on about what I did, Roland, what was your Mother's Day like? Was it quiet? Did you just take her to dinner? Just buy her some gifts? What was that whole deal like? You and the daughter do something special for mom?
I went up to Rhode Island to see my mom.
That's right. You did say you were leaving town. So you took the whole family out to go see your mom?
Yeah.
Okay. So everybody went. What is that like when the wife has to go or the husband has to go to the other's house and not go to their own mother's because of the distance in which they live? The only reason why I ask is because I've never done that.
Well, we take turns, I believe.
Okay, so you do take turns.
Yeah, but we don't go every year to a mother's house.
Okay. So sometimes you might just send flowers or send gifts because you can't get out of town.
Yeah, or we just send Amazon packages to them.
Oh, Amazon packages? Okay. Was there anything special that you'd like to share that mom got this year? Or was it just kind of fundamental, rudimentary stuff?
I slid numbers in her card for Rhode Island numbers for the evening and night. For midday and night.
I'm sorry, is that a lottery thing?
Yeah.
Okay, I know nothing about that.
Play
okay.
numbers, play 3, play 4.
Yeah, that's a big thing.
Yeah.
People do the lottery for individuals. Or I remember one Christmas somebody gave, and again, I was not appreciative. That's because I don't gamble. So I know you would probably love this gift. Has anybody ever done that, giving you scratch-offs?
Oh, man, that's my favorite gift.
See? Because I don't gamble, I felt insulted. I was just like, what are you giving me a scratch-off ticket for? I don't think I've won more than $3 on those things.
Man, actually, one time, Tom Shattuck gave me scratch-offs for a Christmas
Did he?
present. Yeah.
Okay, Tom, note to self.
It was only dollar scratches. I don't think he actually wanted me to win like
$1
million.
Yeah, Tom, I'm sorry. Tom, let me tell you this. Please, if anything, get me nothing. Just say Merry Christmas. That's all. Happy birthday. No offense, but I think it would be a wasted gift on me. I know that people like them. I'm just not that guy.
It's spectacular. It's free money. You got a chance to win free money.
Yeah, I don't see it that way. I just, I almost feel like they're asking me to do work. It's like, hey, scratch off this meaningless, scratch off the, I never win. I don't. My wife keeps telling me all the time, we should play the lotto. I can't bring myself to it because I can't justify the loss. Let me give you an example. I see these guys win hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? I'll be at the counter, and these guys will be pulling in thousands. They got a wad of them with those tickets, and they'll redeem them, and they're getting thousands of dollars. And I got to be honest with you. Do you know what the big turnoff is?
What?
Being the guy who's redeeming them while I got a big line behind me of people who are trying to buy their. I don't want to be that guy. It's never, I don't care how much money they win. I don't want to be the guy that holds up the grocery line. I just can't.
Yeah, I let everybody go in front of me.
You do?
Yeah.
These people never do that to me, especially the lotto guys. They sit up there, and God forbid if the guy gets the number wrong. He goes, no, I said 3, 4, 5 straight. That's not what I told you 3, 4, 5. He goes, oh, do you want me to take that back? No, I'm going to take it anyway.
Yeah, you got to take the mess ups because sometimes.
Because the mess up might be the winner, right?
Blessing in disguise.
It's like, well, if you're going to take it anyway, what are you getting outlandish for? Like, you don't have to lose it. I don't understand those people. Oh, I said 4, 5, 6 straight. That's 4, 5, 7 straight. No, give it to me anyway.
Combo, back it up.
I don't understand any of that stuff. I don't know what a straight is. I don't know what a double, a triple. I don't even know if I'm saying the right terms.
Straight is just like it is. 4, 5, 6, just like it is.
Just like it is. Keep it like it is.
That's the hardest one to
What's the one where it can be random? Where it can be
that's box.
Okay, that's box.
Yeah.
Okay. This is all useless information.
You want both straight and box, that's combo.
I don't know. I'm never going to know. I know a lot of people are into this, and I'm probably ticking off a lot of people just going, he just don't understand. I don't.
Yeah. I don't play. I used to play all the time. Now I only play like if I feel the urge or maybe I see the number come out that's close to mine or something like that.
Do you always play when it's a huge jackpot? Like when it goes to like the 900 mil to $1 billion?
That's
a guarantee?
Totally different game. Yeah, that's like the Powerballs and all
that. I'm saying, but like, is that when, like, I know you don't play Powerball usually, but do you play when the numbers are, when the amount of money is like exorbitant, like when it hits that 500 million mark? Is that like the tweak where you go, you know what, let's play a couple just for fun?
Sometimes I do.
Okay.
But that's only when like a bunch of us in my family, everybody say, oh, let's go buy 20 or 30 tickets each and see if we can win and we all split the prize or whatever. I'll do that, but I like to play the in-state ones, like the classic lotto.
Yeah.
The ones that's you just competing against people in your state, not the whole country.
I am scared to death to win those things. I had this weird fantasy on, like, I remember my wife said, we should get one of those, and I won't buy, like, I'll buy the $5 scratch off if my wife wants me to buy one. I won't go any higher than that. Like, I won't buy a $10 or a $20 scratch off. I just never have, never will, can't justify it. But I always say to myself, what if I did? Like one day it's like, you know what, screw around. Let me just buy a $20. And if I did, like what would I do if I won? I can't go to my regular store and cash that in or try to redeem it.
No, you can't.
No, I'm keep wondering whether or not if you do go down to the lottery place, right? They have a main office where you can go pick up the check. I'm always wondering if there's some guy lurking. Just, rubbing his mitts together going, yeah, we're going to catch one today.
There's cameras everywhere when you go down there.
I've heard so many stories. You know how many stories there have been lately where people have gone to the casino, and cashed out a crap load of money and then get mugged in the parking lot? Like, that happens a lot. I think about that all the time. I'm like, I don't want to play the lotto because I almost feel like it would be that kind of scenario. To me, it's just, I just can't do it.
I don't think about stuff like that. I just think about I'm going to win all this money. And I'm going to go home and celebrate.
Yeah. Eric says, I've witnessed people buy $20 worth of scratch off, take them, scratch off the code to the clerk, scans to see if there's a winner, and hand it back like, dude, you don't even want to see you got 2 lemons and a cherry. Oh, my God. Matt says convenience stores are not the casino. If you idiots buy more than a ticket or two, or go to the casino, I need gas to go to work, which I assume no one is buying 300 tickets actually goes to work. I agree with you, Matt. I feel like that. I feel like if you're spending that kind of money, You know what? Let me tell you this. I used to work with a guy who used to spend his retirement money at Mohegan's Sun.
That's every day.
I'm like, he lived in Queens. He would take that bus all the way up to Mohegan every weekend or every month, I guess. He'd get his retirement and go up there. And he bragged about it like there was no tomorrow. Like he said, man, I'd come back with $2,000-$3,000. I'm like, and all of that travel. I don't know. One day I had to take a bus. I will tell you this. I had to take a bus from Mohegan. I had to take the Peter Pan to go to New York because I didn't have the car to go down there. So they drive me over to Mohegan to go down. And then I took the bus back to Mohegan to have my wife at the time pick me up. And the bus that I got on, when I was getting off the bus, they handed me a roll of quarters to go gamble. That I thought was cool. I didn't even bother to gamble.
Did you keep the quarters?
Of course I did. Of course I did. They just gave them to me, and they were just like, hey, we offer this along with the trip. I was like, I've never even heard of that before. Like it made me it made me rethink my commute to Connecticut. I was like, maybe I'll just do that instead of taking the drive and save me some money. And actually make I think it's like $10 worth of quarters, or maybe, I don't know, something like that, whatever the roll was. But I'll never forget that. That was fun. Anyway, we'll take a break. We'll come back. More news, more views. We'll take your phone calls if you want to make them. 860-522-WTIC, 860-522-9842. Coming up very soon, we're going to talk to Hartford Police Detective Phillip Fuschino. He was one of the police officers photographed taking out the casket for Ida Hawkins Green. Gosh, I keep forgetting her name, and I apologize. And we'll talk to him about that, and then we'll break some news at 4:30. So stick around for that. It's Reese on the radio on NewsTalk 1080 WTIC.
It's Reese on the radio. Ask your doctor if common sense is right for you. On NewsTalk 1080 WTIC.
Also, later on in the show, we are going to talk about the Connecticut Democrats who did this ridiculous skit. I'm sure that all of you heard about it, this 100 Days skit that they did. That was insane. But something's going on in Connecticut as far as the legislature is concerned that I cannot seem to fathom. And for those of you who know this story, because it went viral to some degree, I'm going to play it for you now. And it was, I don't know how this was allowed to happen, but let me just say to the young man, M.J. Shannon, Representative Shannon, let me say this to you, young man. What I'm about to play, you should be ashamed of yourself. You should crawl into the fetal position and put your thumb in your mouth and play shame. Because this was shameful. And I don't know who you're afraid of. I don't know who scared you into this response. But you're going to have to grow a pair. Do you remember this, sir?
Is woman a gender expression?
Yes, woman can be a gender expression.
What is a woman?
Through you, I have no medical training, no biology degree or background, so I cannot fully define woman, but I will say it is a gender identity and gender expression.
What is wrong with you, boy? What is wrong with you? You know that it's a gender expression, but you don't know what it is? What is wrong with you? Is your mommy proud of you? Just seriously. That actually happened in public. And people are trying to go after Representative Joe Canino for putting him up to that display. But I would have said nothing. I'd have kept it to myself. It was absolutely disgusting. I've never seen someone so afraid of an answer. You don't know what a woman is? Do you not have a mommy? Seriously. Is your mommy a gender expression? Now, I know he's young, idealistic, dare I say stupid. But come on, man.
Is woman a gender expression?
Yes, woman can be a gender expression.
What is a woman?
Through you, I have no medical training, no biology degree or background.
Someone is going to say something if I don't say the right thing. I know there's going to be groups that are going to send me letters. I'm going to upset them. I don't know exactly what to say. I'm nervous. I don't know. I want to say the right thing. I just don't want to pick off anybody. You're such a wimp. Human female. 2 words. Let's get a first check of our weather and traffic. Jason Caterina's got weather and Mark Christopher's in the BPS Traffic Center. How we doing, sir? Welcome to your Monday.
All right, Reese, thank you very much.
Reese on the radio. And don't say we didn't warn you on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
All right, we are back, folks, and we are in rare form. We've got a Monday for you that you don't want to miss. This hour is going to be absolutely stellar because, of course, we've got Detective Phillip Fuschino, who is going to be joining us from the Hartford Police Department. He was one of the officers who carried out the casket of Ida Hawkins Green after the shootout that took place at her funeral in north of Hartford. And so we'll talk to him about that and what led to that moment. I don't know about you, but I saw that photograph and it resonates with me just as far as Hartford is concerned. I think in any case, that photograph says a lot, and I think it's an iconic photo. It was, in fact, it wasn't even a photograph. It was a video taken by WFSB, but when I saw it, Mark in West Hartford sent it to me, and I saw it. I went, because he sent it off his TV screen, and I was like, where the heck did that picture come from? That's that's talk about making a statement with a photograph. And then he told me WFSB found it, so I went to FSB.com, saw the video, and I stopped it, screenshot it, and put it on my page. And let me tell you something. Look, I get a lot of views on Reese on the Radio on Facebook, but the original picture, that's a screenshot of a screenshot that Mark sent me that I posted in just the weekend alone, got over 21,000 views. And there were so many people from Hartford who responded to it. In fact, when you do the sort of demo on it, it'll tell you who your followers or friends are on Facebook who viewed it versus non-followers or friends. 90% of the people out of the 21,000 who viewed it, 90% were people who were not friends. So some odd reason, it went somewhat viral because it took people by storm to see that photograph. And immediately when I saw the amount of ground it was making, I started calling up people. In fact, I called our good friend, president of the Hartford Police Union, James Rotowski, and said, hey, is there any way we can get one of these officers on the air? So he made it work out. So I want to thank him. I want to thank the chief of police, the interim chief of police, for doing that as well and making sure that this happened today. So we'll talk to him about that. Detective Phillip Fuschino about what took place that led to what I'm calling an iconic photo, and it should be an iconic photo that represents the Hartford Police. We'll get to that when we return. Let's get another check of our weather and traffic with Mark Christopher and Jason Caterina. They're in the BPS Traffic Center. Hey, Mark.
President of the Chris Murphy Fan Club, Reese on the Radio on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
All right, we're back. It's Reese on the Radio, News Talk 1080 WTIC. Plenty of news and plenty of views to get to this hour, so please spread the word. You're not going to want to miss this hour. And, of course, this particular moment, I want to spend some time with one of the officers who did his job above and beyond, as we always say about our men and women in uniform. Detective Phillip Fuschino is on the line. Detective, thank you for joining the show. And in such short notice, I'm glad that the brass allowed you to be on today. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
So first, let's talk a little bit about the events of that day. Because if I'm understanding this, if I'm just looking at the photo, I'm seeing uniformed officers carrying out the casket. But your story is far more interesting to me because of something that we don't know in that photo, and that is you joined the force in 2002. You have a 23-year career with Hartford Police, and you're a detective who actually overtimes, or does, I guess, overtime, as a uniformed officer. So you actually, as a detective, go back to uniform as a patrolman as well. So you are what I can only describe as a dedicated officer of the Hartford Police Department. Is that fair to say?
Correct. Thank you. Yes.
So talk to me a little bit about your career. What got you interested in law enforcement back in 2002, which I can imagine for several reasons at that time, there was a very patriotic age in the United States. Was that part of it? Did you just want to do your civic duty and serve your community?
Yeah, it was. Ever since I was a kid, I've always wanted to become a police officer. Originally, I started law enforcement career working as a correction officer for about 3.5 years. And I was pretty happy doing that. And then one day I received a phone call from a friend of mine who was he's since retired from here. And he said, hey, Hartford's hiring. So I said, let's give it a shot. And, started taking the test, and every process led to the next step. And next thing you know, I was hired.
And I can. Yes. God, say, I'm sorry. I interrupted you.
I'm sorry. It's always something I always wanted to do. I always enjoyed helping people. That's the number one goal in this job. Obviously, you meet people during their darkest times sometimes, and you try to be there for them.
Yeah, this is actually, I will admit, out of all the cities that I've worked in and all of the police departments that I've come to know, it is becoming more and more a thankless job. And with the current sort of atmosphere when it comes to police officers, from Darren Wilson to Derek Chauvin to plenty of other police officers who have been raked over the coals, even officers who have done some horrible things, as we witnessed in Memphis, Tennessee, with the 5 officers who killed Tyree Nichols. It is a very tense time when it comes to the relationship between the community and the police. What has that been like here in Hartford for you, having a 23-year career? Do you sometimes feel a little, what keeps you coming back to the job every day, and especially in your capacity, going back as a patrolman and as a detective?
Well, obviously, we've all seen the change. Everything since changed in the country with all the police involved, shootings and deaths. But I guess it just resorts back to doing what I originally set out to do with this job, and get out there and help people, and try to make a difference, be a change within the community, and let them know I'm not that person. I'm here if you need me.
And brings us right to our point, and the reason why you're here today. And I think that you represent something I think which is way bigger than the police department, but I think it is indicative of the Hartford police, if not the police writ large. You got the call, or were asked to carry this casket out. Maybe I'm misrepresenting that. Let me rephrase that. What led to you and your fellow officers carrying out Ida Hawkins Green's casket after this horrific shooting, and what many people have described something like one of the most awful days in a funeral or in Hartford's history?
So, as you could imagine, it was a pretty chaotic and hectic scene. Once everybody was cleared and we made sure everybody was safe and any suspects were detained, the crime scene division, the Hartford Police Crime Scene Division, who works very hard every day, they had to come in and process the scene. But also, the family had a timeline to meet with the burial, which was scheduled for 2 p.m. So they came to an agreement where our crime scene division, they expedited their processing of the scene so we could get Miss Hawkins Green out and to her final resting place. So when we were in there, everything was ready to go, and the funeral director there asked us to give them a hand, and there was no second, there was no question about it. Of course we were going to help because there was no family left behind because they all had to leave.
Yeah. It was, I spoke to some people involved with the funeral. I won't say whom it was, but they were furious with the funeral director for not giving them an opportunity to carry her casket out because they felt like they were lied to. And when I was having that conversation with them, I said, with all things considered, you really can't have your average, person inside that, because it is an active crime scene. At the same time, they're trying to be as delicate as they can with the person who has passed away, who does have a time, they have to be escorted to the actual burial site. The police, it's not on the police. I mean, the funeral director has to do something within his, I guess, the scope of what he can do. And so he had to ask, look, how do I help the family do what they need to do to bury their loved one and secure that the crime scene isn't messed with, I guess, for lack of a better word. So I look at that and I say, you guys, as you said to me, and we spoke on Sunday, you said, you guys didn't think twice about it. It was, hey, can you guys help me? And, officers just jumped at the opportunity because you understood the gravity of what was going on. What was going through your mind when that happened? You just, was it nothing, or did you just feel like it was your duty to do that?
Yeah, I mean, we were there, they asked us to help them out, and that's what we're here for, right? The crime scene division did what they did to process the area so we could get the casket out, but it was still an active crime scene.
Yeah.
Obviously, after we escorted her body out, they still had to continue finishing up their crime scene, so that's why nobody was allowed in.
Were family members still outside the perimeter, so to speak, as you carried them out? And what was that scene like if they were?
No, I mean, I don't recall seeing many people. You remember it was torrential downpours that day.
Yeah.
There might have been a few people probably sitting in their cars in the parking lot, but for the most part, everybody was already had departed the scene.
Yeah. Was it and I know people don't usually ask, and I know some officers refuse to respond, but was there a sense of, how do you take in a moment like that? As a detective, as an officer, someone who's been a police officer for 23 years, how do you take in a scene like that? Because I don't think anyone ever asked police officers, look, everyone who's talking about this story is saying the same thing. At a funeral, at a church, it's unheard of. How do you separate that as a human being and an officer and get through that and then be asked to carry her casket out? Does it not, can you talk about what goes through your mind, or is it just service first? Can you compartmentalize that?
Obviously, there was no thought about it at first, right? Do what you're asked to do. Meets within the scope of your duties, you do it, right? And, it goes back to just giving a hand, helping out. Obviously, it kicked in later, after we were clear, and they're like, wow, what just happened?
Yeah.
It was a lot. It was a very chaotic scene, but as we always do here, we get it done, and, we make sure everybody's safe, and it's just everyday thing here at HPD.
Yeah. We're on the phone with Hartford Police Detective Phillip Fuschino, 23 years on the force. He is one of the officers. If you're watching online, you can see the iconic photo. I'm calling it iconic, of the police officers and others who are carrying out Ida Hawkins Green's casket to the hearse so that she can go to her final resting place. And I think, for me, I think it's emblematic of the police force in Hartford, who they are, what they do, and if there's what I wanted, and I said this to James Rutowski, I said the one thing about this that I think is important for people to note is why what you do, who you are as a police force, not only must be supported, but it's got to be supported by people who are being a part of something that is bigger than them. This picture is what should be shown every day on recruitment videos when people are thinking about joining the force. Should they join the force? Why are they joining the force? It's because of good deeds like this. As a 23-year veteran, what would you be saying to young men and women who are thinking about joining the force today?
I say you got to go for it. You know, just that's your dream. Do it. You love, enjoy, helping people. Do it. It's not just about arresting people. That's not what this job is all about.
Yeah, I will say that. Like I said, this I don't even know that people. I don't even understand it, that people understand the gravity of this. Did you get an opportunity to see this photo by any chance? Did you get to see this video at all?
I saw the photo. Yes.
Yeah. What did you what did you think when you saw it? And by the way, who are you if I may ask? Who are you in the photograph? Are you on the right, the left hand side, the back, or the front? Where exactly are you positioned in this photo?
So I'm in the front, right.
Okay, so you're the tall gentleman.
No. I'm on the other side.
Oh, okay.
So,
there's a tall gentleman in the front, and you're to his right. My apologies.
To his right, correct.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, that's you.
I'm standing in front of the sergeant there.
Yeah, you. Oh, and the sergeant was there. Wow. That was like I said, I'm looking at at this photograph. I can't stop looking at it. I've been looking at it all weekend. In fact, when it was sent to me, I showed it to my wife, and we were all like, "Wow!" Like no photo this year would probably, I have to admit, probably the exception to that would have been the photograph of Donald Trump holding his fist in the air after the assassination attempt. I don't think I've been more moved by a photograph. This photograph really, really gets to me. And I want everybody to see it. I'm so glad that it's gone somewhat viral on my Facebook page. And I'm glad I got to speak to one of the officers who made it possible. You deserve, and all of the officers there, you guys deserve a heap of praise. And I think that what this shows is exactly who the police department is in Hartford, why it's important to join, why it's important to stay, because as you just said, it's far more than just arresting folks. It is serving a community that needs it and deserves it when times like these, when a shooting at a funeral needs heroes, needs support, the police came through, in ways that you wouldn't expect. So I just want to say personally, thank you. I appreciate you, Detective, and I appreciate every one of the officers who was there. Any final words before you? Is there anything else that you'd like to say other than thank you? Or
listen, it wasn't just me. There's hundreds of great men and women that work at this police department, and any of them would have done this exact same thing on that day. So
no, and I think that's exactly what I mean. I think this right here is emblematic of the Hartford Police Department. Because as you said, the funeral director needed help. And as you said, no one even hesitated. They jumped at the opportunity to help out when needed. And, crime scenes who are, pretty much trying to do ballistics and trying to figure out what's going on, they made it possible to serve this woman. They took the human, they were human and humane in making sure that this woman's body was respected even when all of this melee took place. And I think that's all you need to know about the Hartford Police Department. That in and of itself, this event, if you can find the silver lining in it, I think this is it. That fair?
I agree.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you,
100%.
Detective. I know you're limited in talking about all this because it's an ongoing investigation, but we appreciate your time and thank you so much for joining us today. If I get to talk to you again, I hope it something much less horrific to talk about, but I hope I get an opportunity to talk to you again soon.
Sounds good. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. My pleasure. Detective Phillip
Have a good day.
You got it. You too. Detective, I'm saying. Phillip Fuschino, 23-year veteran of the police force, who's a part of this iconic photo. So please check it out. You can go to Reese on the Radio, find us on Facebook, and you can see the photo yourself and share it with your friends because it's been shared a lot so far. All right, we're about to go to a break, which is going to happen in about a minute. So now, when we come back, stand by. The details to this shooting at the funeral, I will tell you this. Reese on the radio has seen the video of the events that took place inside the funeral home. I've seen the video. I've seen the players. I've seen the actors. I've seen the individuals. I've seen the person who was arrested inside the funeral. I've seen it all. Yes, there is video. And there is video of the gunshots going off inside there, and I've seen them all. So when we come back, I'm going to describe to you what I saw, and I'm going to break some news on Joshua Smelly that many people do not know. And I'm going to break that when we return. So stick around. Let's get to some weather and traffic. Jason Catarina has weather, and Mark Christopher's at the BPS Traffic Center. Hey, Mark.
Stay locked in. Race on the Radio is on WTIC News Talk 1080.
All right, so we don't have any stupidest thing I read today because we're going to talk about this shooting that took place over the weekend. And the details, I wish I could tell you they are as sketchy as the news media has been suggesting. They are not. And they are daunting because, and I guess the best way to describe this is many of us did. We looked at this story and said, really? At a funeral? And of course, we talked about Ida Hawkins Green, 89-year-old woman, married 59 years, 10 children, 52 grand, 56 great-grand, I think another 5 or 6 great-great-grand. Obviously the matriarch of that family. For some 150 people to show up. Now, and I get with that large of a family, sure, I can imagine there are some family members who either don't get along or don't like each other and probably don't even speak. But they're family, you know? It's like that doesn't make sense. Perhaps when you hear a story like that, before you even find out anything about 89-year-old Ida Hawkins Green, you hear, oh, it's a funeral in Hartford, they're shooting inside of it, you start going, your mind starts going to the basic place, you know? Just straight out of a movie. Oh, it's probably some gangbanger who died and a rival gang showed up for more retribution. Same old, right? When you hear this, you just go crazy. And then, out of nowhere, you're thinking, this is just a story I'm just going to cover. We'll move on. Maybe we'll find out who a culprit is. And then that'll be the end of the story. And then you get a phone call. Why? I don't know. You get a phone call, you get somebody to reach out to you, and you go, hi, what's all this about? I can't help but be curious. What happened? And the person starts telling you what happened. And then you're listening to it and you go, come on, that sounds crazy. And then the person says, don't worry, I'll call you back with evidence. I look at my wife and I go, okay, we'll see what evidence it is. Because again, I'm writing it off. I'm dismissing this. This sounds like some hood nonsense. You know, I'm over here, hashtag black fatigue. And then you actually talk to them. And then they actually show you video inside the funeral. And then you go, holy crap. And then you hear that there's an arrest after you watch the video. And then you find out that the person arrested shouldn't be arrested. We'll explain when we get back. Let's get another check of the weather and traffic. Jason Catarina's got weather. Mark Christopher's in the BPS Traffic Center. Hey, Mark.
The self-proclaimed love child of Rush Limbaugh.
They're running a strange program, y'all.
Reese on the radio on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
Okay, let's get to this. Very, very important that we understand exactly what's going on here, okay? You all know the story. Shooting happens in the morning of a funeral of Ida Hawkins Green. People are outraged. Police department shows up. We find out that a man has been arrested. That young man right there. That is a photograph of him. That young man's name is Joshua Smelly. He has been all over the news. He's all over the internet as the shooter, as the person who caused this melee. Unfortunately, that's not the whole story. Now, I don't want anybody to get the impression because I'm telling you this story, but because I've seen the video, I have to be completely honest. This is not a narrative. I've seen it. The young man that you are looking at in this picture, the man that you are seeing online, Joshua Smelly, is not the person who caused the shooting. He was the target of a shooting. The shooting was always going to happen. It was premeditated. It was broadcast, and the family knows it was broadcast that Joshua was in danger at this funeral. That is a fact, because I have the screenshots of the text messages. They were supplied to me. Again, I never come to this show ever telling people stuff that I don't know. I don't make things up. I only come here with the facts. I grabbed the screenshots, I've seen the screenshots, and I've watched the video. Joshua was attacked at the funeral. Let me give you a breakdown. I saw this with my own eyes and watched it as it took place. Joshua arrived at this funeral. This was his loving grandmother. A loving grandmother. He showed there. He arrived there with his girlfriend, his wife. I'm not sure exactly the status of that relationship, and a child. Joshua shows up at that video, and the police can verify this because I know they're listening now. And if they've seen the video, because it has been sent to them, they know that they can corroborate exactly what I'm saying. Joshua showed up wearing all white. I saw him wearing all white. And there's a thing that they do in the inner city that many people might not be familiar with, but it's a cultural thing, and I get it. But I watched it. He was there in a sweatsuit together with a hoodie, a white hoodie, white sweatpants, and on the sweatshirt in sort of graffiti block lettering, a commemorative statement about his grandmother. Apparently, there were other people who were supposed to show up wearing this, but he had shown up wearing this. The video shows parishioners coming in to the casket to say their final goodbyes to Ida. Joshua arrives, clearly plain as day. He's one of the most, you see him there because he's wearing all white. There are other people wearing white, but you see this man in dreads wearing all white. He's a heavy-set guy. He's not skinny, but he shows up. He shows up to the casket. There's video of this. He's there with the white rose that he places in the casket of his grandmother. He clearly is distraught. Leans in, puts his head down. I'm not sure if he kisses her or he just puts his head down on her body in the casket, and he walks away. He came there to pay his respects. Other members who were there did not come there for that. And they physically accosted Joshua there. Everybody knows this. Anyone who's seen the video knows this, and they know that I'm not telling it. In fact, there are a lot of videos, and several people were videotaping this as it happened. As you know, in this era, people immediately start grabbing their phones instead of jumping in. Some people did jump in, but many others, scared because either they're young or because they're old, were righteously cowering because they don't know. It's young people. You don't know what's going to end up. If anything, you're almost anticipating gunfire, which does happen. And as the melee is unfolding and cameras are rolling, about 5 shots went off. Joshua was not there to create a problem. But it had been warned that if he arrived, he was subject to this violence. And there is documented evidence of it, and there are individuals who know of it. You can even hear people in the video yelling and screaming to fire a weapon. All of which I heard. Again, I didn't ask for it. But when the story comes to you, you get the story. I have the story. Any of you out there, you can say what you want. You can respond how you want. I don't care. The video confirms everything. The video speaks for itself. And those of you who know, who are not saying anything, that's on you. I'm not here to be a tattletale. I don't care. This isn't about tattling. This is about what was done and what took place. Let's be honest. Bottom line, this was a hit. That's what it was. This was a premeditated hit on Joshua. Now, if indeed he did fire a weapon, if indeed in him firing that weapon, which again, I cannot see in that. I know that apparently there were 2 different shooters, if not 3 different. According to the report, that I cannot corroborate, so I'm not even going to expose that. But let's just say there was definitely more than one shooter. Let's just leave it at that. But if indeed ballistics suggest that Joshua did fire a weapon, if that is indeed true, he does need to be held responsible for that because it took place inside that funeral home or outside that funeral home where lives were clearly in danger because of it. However, it is being played as it should be, because I understand if you don't know the story, you just say someone was arrested in connection with the shooting. If you don't have that information, if that hasn't been shared with you, you don't know that. But I am telling you, and I'm telling you right now, reputation in tow, that Joshua was there as the mark. It had been expressed and it had been told. In fact, one particular screenshot refers to him as a dead man before the funeral, and another individual celebrating his arrest thereafter. So that's what happened, and that's where we are. That's the whole thing in a nutshell. There are going to be some other things that come out, and when they do, you'll know all about that. But I feel bad for the guy because, again, what do you do in that situation? I don't know what anyone would do in that situation. In most cases, I'll be honest with you, the first thing that ran through my mind was, why go? Maybe you're thinking, it's a funeral. Nobody's going to do anything like that. It's a funeral. Why would anyone do that? But if that is the case, if someone is suggesting that, like somebody is suggesting that they're going to do me harm, I'm probably going to have to pay my respects elsewhere or in another way, just for my own safety. It's just the way that I look at it. So we will get to the bottom of it. I'm sure the police department is. I know that they're listening. If indeed the videotape, or the videos, I should say, because there are a lot of them, and I looked at a great deal of them yesterday, a great deal of them yesterday, especially looking at those parishioners who are cowering, older people, young people, who are cowering behind the pews, scared for their lives, as other people are screaming, come on, man, stop this. Why are y'all doing this here? This was always going to happen. The people who were involved did not care, and they sought out to do this. Again, I don't know what the beef is. That wasn't shared with me. I can only presume of what that is. I'm not even going to share that because I almost feel like that's throwing dirt in the game. But, the person who was, pretty much providing all of this info to me had a bunch of ideas on what it was about. So I just said, you know what? I don't even want to know. If you don't know, I don't want to express that I know. Or express that I have an idea because I don't. But the one thing that I can certainly tell you from the videos that I saw, Joshua was set upon. That is absolute fact. He did not show up there for a fight. He showed up there to grieve his grandmother. And others came with the intent. They expressed it before the funeral. that they wish to do him harm. So, detectives, as it were, have at it with that information. I'm sure you know as much as I do. Don't be mad at me. It's my job to report these things. That's just my job, okay? So I didn't tell anybody I knew about it. I didn't call the cops, say, hey, you know this? Nope, didn't do it. I have a job to do here. As these stories come across the desk, that's what we report on. We break that news. That's what we do. Let's take Fulton in Waterbury. How we doing, Fulton?
All right, I got to disagree with you. I think he didn't go for a fight. He came for a gunfight. He showed up with a gun, right? You're saying maybe he shot too?
Well,
I mean,
yes.
He kind of knew maybe something was going to go on.
Well, okay. Now, as I said, Fulton, now remember, it has been premeditated, right? It has been absolutely forewarned that if he were to arrive, there was going to be problems. So, yeah, I mean, I get you. That's why I said, you notice I never referred to him as innocent. I never referred to him as somebody who is inculpable. But I am expressing the fact that as people are reporting on this story, it is not a guy who walked in and just started firing on a funeral. There's more to it, and I have the details to it as far as him being set upon.
Those two other shooters got to get found too. You know what I mean? Like,
Clearly.
people involved got to be found.
And you know what? I'll put it to you this way. Only because I did not see who the other shooters were. I was told who those shooters were. And I will tell you that the information that I have on that I know I can't share, that is even more egregious and more shocking.
I'm sure they're like 12-year-old bloods or something, and this guy's trying to...
No. It is... Now, it's one of those things where if you knew, you just go, no way. And yes, it's that way. It just is. And it's...
quit saying no way in 2022.
Yeah, I totally hear that. Yeah. But again, this is, it's funny because when I'm listening to the story, I'm thinking about the Hatfields and McCoys, and it's clearly that. That's exactly what this is.
Urban Hatfield and McCoy.
Yeah, it's all Hatfield. It's Hatfield and McCoy's. Like, this is a family rivalry inside the family. And apparently it's been going on for years.
So I have to say, is it the layer of respect? I mean, it happens in schools, it happens in churches, it happens with cops. I mean, there's no respect anywhere now. So it's like, it's kind of just, this is what's going to happen, I think.
Yeah. How do I put this?
It's a sad state.
I don't, like I said, I know that there is and you know what, I'll get your response to this. And I think that in a lot of ways it's a bad precedent, but I kind of feel that there are people, instead of being notably afraid for their well-being, have to show bravado and toughness and show up anyway, even if their life is being harmed. Like they don't take the high ground and say, okay, somebody wants to do me harm, I'm just not going to show up.
I agree with you. It's about the Facebook, right? It's about I was there and I showed them.
Yeah.
I won. Everybody wants to win, right?
Yeah, but it's not. It shouldn't be at the cost of human life. I get, like, at the end of the day, someone ends up dead, and there's nothing to brag about once you're gone.
Oh, I agree. I mean, at the funeral, what you did to make two people pull out a gun in your own family, that's some next level stuff, probably, or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, but that's where we are. So I know that in the coming days, we're going to hear more about this because, of course, that video is going to go public. I expect it to.
And you said the family members are mad at the funeral director and the cops for making...
Yeah, I thought that was a little... Look, like I said, Fulton, I talked them off that ledge immediately when they said that. I was like, no, there's nothing for you to be mad about with that.
Right, guys try to do you right. Let you not get charged any more money.
Exactly. And the police department should be applauded, not denigrated for what they did. They stepped up for a family they knew. Yeah, they stood up for a family they knew nothing about in what can only be described as one of the most chaotic scenes. It's like, in that moment, when something like that happens, what does a normal person do? They go, man, I ain't helping these people. These people are horrible.
Right. They run away from bullets. Let me tell you what normal people do. They run out the door away from bullets.
Exactly.
They run towards bullets.
So I give them credit. Yeah, exactly. It's insanity. Thanks, Fulton. I appreciate you, sir.
All right, buddy. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
You got it. You got it. So there you have it, folks. Bottom line, Joshua Smiley, again, if he did fire a weapon, if that's what the ballistics show, he's got to answer to that. But the truth is, he was indeed set upon. And video evidence proves that. I've seen it, and beyond a shadow of a doubt. That's a fact. Let's get another check of the weather and traffic with Jason Caterina and Mark Christopher, who's in the BPS Traffic Center. Hey, Mark.
Hour that packs a punch. It's Reese on the radio on WTIC News Talk 1080.
All right, let's go to the phones. Our black fatigue correspondent is all the way in Florida. White Mike is on the phone. What's going on, sir?
Oh, dude, I haven't heard the show, but I was going to call you and tell you how much black fatigue I have.
I didn't listen.
Dude.
Let me tell you something. It is a phenomenon that I can't get away. I don't know if it's the algorithm or what, but it has been inundating my social media and every other place that I go. It's ridiculous.
I'm pretty news centered, so I follow my YouTube channels and almost every day now, there's a shooting down here. There's a shooting in Tampa. There's a shooting in Orlando. There's a shooting in Clearwater. And then there's mass shootings. And do you know how to tell whether a mass shooting is done by a white shooter or a black shooter?
I'm going to go with the description of the description in and of itself, a mass shooting.
No. Even if they don't name a person, there's a simple way to tell whether there's a black shooter or a white shooter.
Okay.
And that's the ratio of dead to wounded.
Oh, good point.
If a white guy does it, it's like 16 dead, 3 wounded. If a brother does it, it's 37 wounded, 1 dead.
Okay. Sorry. I'm not laughing at the shooting. I know what you're trying to say here. So forgive my humor. I'm laughing. It's like they have horrible aim is what you're saying.
No, because they have Glock switches and hold their pistol sideways. There's no sights on the side of a handgun.
You just have to. Again, this is exactly the point that I'm saying. Yes, and it's okay. I watched this video. I'll never forget it, Mike. And it goes directly to what you're talking about. I actually watched this kid in Brooklyn fire. This was back in 2010. They caught CCTV video of this kid at a bodega firing a weapon. As he's firing it with his right hand, he has his left elbow, his left forearm, covering his eyes to prevent the shell casing from hitting him in the face. It was the most bizarre thing I've ever seen in my life. And let me tell you a funny one, okay? So there's this pistol range I go to, like 20 miles away from here, and they always have an assortment of, like, photorealistic targets. Uh-huh.
Well, and it's always, like, the classic 1950s burglar guy holding a revolver and all this. Well, one day I go in, and there's a target, and the target looks like the wrestler, the Junkyard Dog.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm like, well, it would be racist of me to not choose this target because he's black. So I choose the black guy target, and I'm in there shooting the black guy target, and a guy comes in the lane next to me who looked just like the dude on the target.
No way.
And he was looking at me very nervously.
I got to take a break. I got to go to traffic. Thank you, Mike. As always something interesting with this knucklehead. Let's go to traffic and weather. Jason Caterina's got weather. Mark Christopher to BPS Traffic Center. Wide Mike, buddy. Thank you, sir.
The Junkyard Dog. Bad Leroy.
Now I got to have a drink because I can't even breathe right now. Goodbye.
Reese on the radio is getting ready to drop some knowledge on WTIC News Talk 1080.
Drop it. All right, folks, we are back. Reese on the radio, News Talk 1080 WTIC. Telephone number 860-522-9842. 860-522-WTIC. House Bill 7162. There has been no confirmation on a vote for it. But I want to say to Republicans in the House, Senate even. Get in touch with me, Adam, about this. Adam, in fact, I'm going to put everybody on notice right now before I get into the rest of the show. Let's go with Senator Martin Looney, Representative Travis Sims, Representative Lori Sweet, Representative Joshua Elliott, who I know was on Brian's show this morning, Representative Caitlin Shake, Representative Nick Gauthier, is that how you pronounce it? Senator Martha Marks, Representative Gary Turco, Representative Kadeem Roberts, Representative Nick Menapace, and Representative William Heffernan. What do they all have in common? That is HB 7162. To reform motor vehicle towing statutes, provide protections for motor vehicle owners whose vehicles are towed, and establish a customer bill of rights regarding towing. They have all sponsored this bill. Now, I understand, Joshua Elliott, again, was on Brian's show this morning. Okay, Brian, you're first up. I'm pretty sure that Brian's talked to you about this, but I'd like to have an extensive conversation about this because people are really concerned about this. Commercial property owners, apartment buildings, they're concerned, and there seems to be more concern for people who break the law. That's pretty typical. Than it is of people who own businesses or properties in the state to even sponsor a bill like this. So we'd like it explained. You have an open invitation, any of you, to come on the air and have a discussion about it. Now, won't allow you to come in here and filibuster. You'll have to answer real questions, and you'll have to explain to people why this is important for people to have to deal with. Okay? That's what we'd like to have a discussion. Now, if you don't show up, we'll keep asking. This is not one of those things that we're just going to let go away. You want to vote on it, face the music, face the audience, face your constituents. Explain to them why this is important and why their needs are not being met here. I don't know anybody who's advocating for this, but it doesn't serve people in Connecticut in no way. Even the people you want to protect just allows them to just park their car any way they want to and just abandon it there. And nobody has any recourse. So, you know the names. If you're interested in coming on, we'll ask again, and we'll keep asking, because I don't think you should vote on this before you have to talk to people about it. So we'll get into that. I've noticed this. This is very interesting in Democrat politics. And I want to say this to all of you who've gone out there to protest at City Hall. You know, you've spent your $100 to $200 on whatever. You know, probably had a great steak dinner. Congrats to you. But all of you paid protesters out there who are outraged at the Republican Party, even though you were in a solid blue state, I want to ask you a question. What are you mad about? What are you angry for? In my view, you've got nothing to be ticked off about. Nothing. Here's why. You want to be mad? Here's why you should be mad. The people you know and trust lied to you. That's why they're out of power. The reason why Donald Trump is in power, the reason why the Republicans have the House, the reason why the Republicans have the Senate, is because your party lied to you straight to your face, and you let them. By not holding them accountable, they lost power. They ceded it to the truth. You've got nothing to be angry about. You've got nothing to whine, scream, holler, call up this network, complain to your congressman about. You did not hold your party's feet to the fire. You let them lie through their teeth. You did. Let's take a prominent Democrat by the name of Amy Klobuchar. Amy Klobuchar is now reeling about losing power, recognizing that they should have had a primary before they allowed Kamala Harris to just take over, that they should have allowed the democratic process to unfold. Considering they're the Democrat Party, this is her on Meet the Press talking to Kristen Welker about just that. Hindsight being 2020.
Would the party have had a better chance of winning in 2024 had President Biden dropped out sooner?
Everything we look at in a rearview mirror after you lose an election, yes, we would have been served better by a primary. But we are where we are. We're not on the History Channel.
Yeah, we're not on the History Channel. We are where we are. But as early as February of 2024, Klobuchar was asked by the same host on the same show. Of course, she knew that Joe Biden was absolutely out of sorts. But what did she say when writer Ezra Klein was saying that Joe Biden should step down as early as February of 2024, months before he stepped out? Here's what Amy Klobuchar had to say when asked.
Concerns have been growing for quite some time within your party about President Biden's ability to win a second term. The latest person to express this, Ezra Klein of the New York Times, who said this week, quote, he is not up for this. Senator, what is your reaction to that stark assessment?
My reaction is, as someone who ran against Joe Biden, as someone who has spent significant amount of time with Joe Biden, that he is up for this job. And I was with the president for over an hour and talked about so many things, domestic, international. He was focused. His recall was good.
Do you think it's time to pass the torch?
Again, I'm a believer in President Biden.
She was a believer. Now she's sitting back going, we should have had a primary. Because she lied. How about interpretive dance instructor Hakeem Jeffries, or as many people call him, Timu Obama? Remember, he was asked just recently about the one thing that lost Democrats power. That was immigration. He was asked by Jessica Tarloff of the TV show The Five on Fox.
One of the main reasons that we lost the 2024 election was that we let hundreds of millions of people stream across the border. So what is the Democratic plan to show people that we're serious about this problem?
We were slow to act as an administration and as a party on the southern border crisis. And it hurt us not simply with traditional Republican voters or swing voters, but in some segments of our own base communities and in communities of color, including right here in New York.
Yeah, we were slow to react, Hakeem Jeffries says. Slow to act would mean that they were ignoring it, right? People would ask about it. Hey, what about the southern border? We'll get to that. We've got some other continuing resolutions to deal with. We don't really think that that is serious. No. They didn't do that. Hakeem Jeffries, what did you do in 2019 when Donald Trump was in power? Well, you told us something entirely different.
There is no crisis at our southern border. Well, based on my visit to the border, what I have seen is that some of the steps that President Biden and the administration have taken over the last few months have certainly reduced the flow of illegal border crossing. I think the Biden administration is doing all that it can in that they inherited a broken system that needs to be fixed moving forward in a bipartisan way through comprehensive immigration reform and leaning in to strengthening the border. There is no crisis at our southern border.
Yeah, there's no crisis, folks. What are you talking about? There's no crisis at the southern border. We were slow to react, he says. They told us there wasn't anything there. So you folks are running out there screaming and hollering that you're out of power. This is why, because the American people were no longer going to be gaslit. They saw it. It was right in front of them. This isn't about whether or not Donald Trump won. This was about your party lying, and you let them lie. And when you're asked about the lying, you pretended it never happened. There are receipts, ladies and gentlemen. That's what we do here. It's what all conservatives do. We understand that there's a bill to pay. The rest of you want everything for free. Of course you don't know anything about receipts. Someone else is picking up the tab on the Democrat side. But that wasn't it, folks. That wasn't it. There was also your blatant racism. That played a huge role, too. Right now, there is a report that says that college campuses, especially right here in Connecticut, are overwhelmingly racist. Overwhelmingly. Which, again, I told you is par for the course. It's a Democrat-run state. It's a blue state. Democrats are going to do Democrat things. It's who they are. They are the party of Andrew Jackson. They're the party of Jim Crow. They're the party of Trail of Tears. They're the party of Lyndon B. Johnson. We're going to sign that N-word bill, and they'll be voting for us for the next 200 years. That's who they are. So we shouldn't be surprised that college campuses were spewing such racism. Listen to this supercut. Trinity is involved. UConn is involved. Yeah. College campuses spewing racism. Listen.
New York professor says having a white nuclear family promotes white supremacy. Professor tweets that white people should commit mass suicide. College professor says kill cops, kill all white people, and kill the straights. Professor says all I want for Christmas is white genocide. Georgetown professor says all white people are racist. Trinity College professor calls white people inhuman. Let them f***ing die. College professor says believing in hard work is a white ideology. College professor says white people are conditioned to commit mass murder. A professor equates math with white privilege. A professor says white supremacist patriarchy is responsible for the Vegas shooting. Professors hold a white racism course at FGCU. USC professor calls for a Holocaust against all white people. Professor says I'll teach my children to be cautious and distrust friendship with white people. Baltimore professor says white people need to personally give all of their money to black people. College professor says some white people may have to die to solve racism. College professor says white masculinity is a problem for America. Georgetown professor says all white people are racist. Rutgers professor was taken to the NYC hospital for psychiatric evaluation after he tweeted threatening to kill white people. White professor calls all white people to mass suicide because of slavery.
And you wonder why you lost? What again are you screaming and hollering about? What are you losing your cookies about? No self-reflection at all? If this had been us, they'd be talking about it till the cows come home. You guys even haven't had this conversation at all. You're not having this conversation. We are. I'm sick and tired of beating you up about it. But please, when I see you out there screaming and hollering and talking about fascism, the oligarchy, talking about censorship, the rule of law, bigotry and racism, I'll just assume you're looking in the mirror. I mean, aren't you? Again, this is all documented. Like I said, you folks wouldn't know what a receipt looks like. We always end up paying the bill. That's why we have them. You guys are running around oblivious to who you are and what you do. Perhaps that's the problem. Maybe the reason why Democrats are who they are is that they don't recognize or remember where they come from. Maybe they don't remember that they are the party of racism. Maybe they don't remember that they are the party of Jim Crow, slavery, Lyndon B. Johnson, Woodrow Wilson, the Klan. Maybe that's the problem. They don't remember. But don't worry. We're here to remind them. Every day.
Hey, did you hear? It's our birthday. 100 years. Did you happen to get us a present?
Unfortunately, no. Sorry about that. Reese on the radio, NewsTalk 1080 WTIC. Tomorrow, like I said, we'll talk about House Bill 7162. We'll see if we can get someone to come on. Apparently, Joshua Elliott, the representative, was on with Brian and Company earlier today. So, you know, if he's up to it, we'd love to have him on this show to talk about this proposal, which he is a sponsor of, and to give us a little bit of details. There are a lot of people who are concerned about this, and I think it's worth getting a little into. We should get to the bottom of that. I do want to say this as well, speaking of elected officials. I said on Friday that I was going to take it easy on Chris Murphy because I don't think he's a major player. I think that the jury's still out on whether or not he's a major player. I don't care what the New York Times says about him, the articles that are written about him. Every journalist says, a major player in Democrat politics. No, he isn't. You can say it till the cows come home. He's at Kamala Harris 2019 numbers, and I doubt that's even true. I think he's beneath that. But he's trying, and I give him that, and I really feel horrible about punching out. But he did something in that New York Times article that I was playing last week that I missed because it was an hour long, and I'm so brutally honest about this. I can't sit there and listen to that man talk for an hour. I don't know how anyone does it. He is so boring and lacks any charisma known to man. I can't. It's impossible to withstand. And now with the beard, it's so laughable. I don't know. And it sounds like I'm being a bully. I don't care. I just wish that he would just, I don't know, do something. Why don't wear a propeller on his head? Something that's more appealing than listening to his constant breathing in and out. It's bloviating. But there's a part of this thing that's on this thing. Maybe you could check it out. It's going all over Twitter, where he's saying now he's okay with biological boys and girls sports. Consider your career finished. It's over now that you made that admission. And even the reporter from the New York Times is telling him, you sound like you're waffling. And he's trying really, he keeps saying in all of these interviews that we need to have those horrible, those tough conversations. And then he's put into a spot where he has to be tough, and he is immediately stammering. And then he goes on the side of the transgender. I think it's okay. Forget about it, dude. It's over now. Okay? Do whatever. Okay? Don't worry. Listen to me. Your constituents are always going to vote you in. Okay? Seriously, you're never going to lose a spot here, dude. You're fine. But stay away from the national politics. No one wants to be that bored. I'd rather eat paint chips. Really. Let's get another check of the weather and traffic with Jason Caterina and Mark Christopher in the BPS Traffic Center. Hey, man.
WTIC weather.
Reese, if your house was built before the 1970s, there could be lead in that paint. Watch out for those paint chips. Partly cloudy tonight, the low down to 52. A lot of clouds around as we head through the day. But warm, the high of 78. A cloudy night Tuesday night, the low 56.
What's up, everybody? You know who it is. You know who it is. It's Reese on the radio. Frederick Douglass of the 21st century.
It's WTIC News Talk 1080.
I understand that people are trying to say that the new pope is black, which means what? So, does that make him special? I mean, he's black now. It's just like, I don't know, can he break dance now? He spit a hot 16? What's the big deal? Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Like, that means nothing anymore. It's meaningless. They're first blacks all over the place. And again, they all mean nothing. There's some sort of special divinity that comes with it. Is the holy water now more palpable now? Is the blessings more pure? Are they keeping it real at the Vatican now? Don't be a clown.
I always thought I was going to be the first black pope.
Like, these people are clowns. Like, that's the thing you bragging on? It's like, well, the first pope is black, son. So I guess he's going to wear Jordans now? It means nothing. It means nothing. It's meaningless. That's it? That's all you got? Okay. Let's go to the phones. Hey, you could be the last but not least caller by calling up 860-522-4700. WTIC 860-522-9842. The last but not least caller gets a dozen bagels a month for 6 months, courtesy of Between Rounds, the Bagel Bakery and Sandwich Cafe, located in South Windsor, Manchester, and Vernon. They're our good friends and family to Reese on the radio. I just think that, if you want to, you can. Anyway, let's go to the phones. Who do we got up next? First off, we got Mike in Plainville. How are you, sir?
I haven't stopped laughing since yesterday afternoon after watching those two Tyler Perry movies, Miss Medea.
Do you still watch Medea movies? I can't. The only reason why I can't watch them is because the titles are always so long. Like, Medea, somebody ate the last piece of chicken. I just too much of a thing to type into the search engine.
What was the term that guy used? Slow to react?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you, Mike. Mike, what do you got? Because I got a whole bunch of people I got to jump on.
Listen, that Dick Blumenthal, he's out and about today. He reminds me of one of those 10-foot pipe-like balloons that blow around in the wind.
Oh, okay.
No, he just picks and chooses. Do you have a map of the state of Connecticut with pins on it? Where should I go today? Where will I look the best?
I think he is going to retire too soon, Mike. That's what I think he's going to do. Let me get to some others in here. Who's next? Jefferson Marlboro. How are you, sir?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. How about you, Reese, buddy?
I'm great, sir. Glad to be back, man.
Yeah, man. So one quick thing, and then something you said just was making me think. But the many quotes that you played, some guy calling all white people to kill themselves.
Yeah.
I hope that invitation was in a suicide note, because I'd say you first, buddy.
That's what I tell them all the time. It's always about, like, this was a white professor saying that all whites need to commit suicide to end racism, but never did he consider himself. Like, I was like, hey, and by the way, I'm going to rule by example.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead and show me the way, buddy.
Again, it's a laughable notion, but again, what are you going to do? Like I said, we all know when these people are running around through the streets screaming and hollering why they lost and how they lost a grip on society, much less the culture, there it is. It's right there. It's right in front of everyone. So, it's the same over. What was the other thing you wanted to mention?
The second thing was really fast. While you were talking, I was still on the line, and you had talked about how this Pope is being considered black.
Yeah, it's a big...
I don't understand. I don't understand that. Are you saying considered black in the way that, like, they said Bill Clinton was the first black president?
Yes. Yes.
Oh,
yes.
okay,
they're saying that
they're saying
that his lineage. They're saying that his lineage has black in it. But see, here's the thing. Here's a perfect example of this, Jeff, and let me break this down to you. Black people who are raving about the idea that Pope Leo XIV might be black are suggesting what makes him black is what white supremacists called the one-drop rule. So now they are celebrating what is considered a white supremacist standard to make a person black. If they've got one drop of blood in them, it makes them black. So this just shows you how far the left have gone into brainwashing silly black folks into adhering to their own ideals. So now black people are patting themselves on the back going, yeah, he got black blood. That makes him black.
I got to tell you, Reese, I think if we really, really nailed it down, we all got one drop of.
Of course we do. That's the hypocrisy of it. Because you ask any person whether or not they have any black blood in them, or every person who's ever done one of these 23andMe's or these identity, swabs, whatever the case is, they all find out that they got a little bit of black in them. So shouldn't they all be black? They never mention it. Of course they don't. Of course they don't.
Or they could be white.
Yeah.
Or they could be white,
Exactly.
We called Barack Obama the first black president, but he was half white. We could have called him, just another white guy.
I could have. That's exactly the right thing. Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate you, sir. Who's next on here? This actually gives me Hey, Sean. Sean's in Meriden. How are you, sir?
Good. You know what we should do? Like Jasmine Crockett, she just drives me. If I drank, she'd drive me to drink. But what anybody who deals with her, all they need to do is have on their person a picture of her a year ago and a picture of her now, and ask her which one is Jasmine Crockett.
Yeah, exactly. I think
you have a conservative, black, professional woman a year ago, and now you have some ghetto trash who's like, yo, I'm going to show you, and I'll slap the president. Really? I would pay to have a WWF cage match with her and Donald Trump and watch what happens.
Listen, her deal is, again, she is actually what I don't even understand. She is adhering to a microcosm of an electorate who likes that. And in fact, she's catering to people who don't vote, who spend most of their time online saying, hey, you see what Sister Girl said? They don't care. And she thinks that this is giving her, she doesn't even understand. And again, this shows you how unsavvy she is. She doesn't understand that the attention she's getting is mockery, not praise. She's on Fox News for the things she says to mock her.
I think she's planning for after her political career, because it's going to be short.
Oh, yeah. Listen to me. Without a doubt, it's going to be afternoons with Jasmine Crockett. She's going to have a talk show. I think I've already figured out the name of it, Sister Girl. That's what it's going to be called, Sister Girl on ABC. That's all.
No, I got a better name. Crapola. Crapola.
Thank you, buddy. Let's go to, I'm sorry, who else do I have here? Oh, Steve. Steve's in Waterbury. How are you doing, Steve?
I'm doing good, Reese. I just got one question for you. I'll probably get in trouble for it.
Sure.
But if, in fact, the Pope is black,
yes,
do you think they'll be serving Ripple for the wine ceremony?
You took the risk, and you're rewarded for it, my friend. You listen, I was waiting. Listen to me. Let me tell you something, Steve. I was waiting for somebody to come with it with a Fuzzy Zeller-like approach. And I know you know. I see you laughing already, so I know you know who I'm talking about. For those of you who don't, famously, Fuzzy Zeller, a golfer, was absolutely excommunicated from the golf world in Tiger Woods' first Masters. Was it the Masters? Was that his Masters debut?
I think it might have been. I remember the story, but not 100%.
That's right.
Yeah.
So in Fuzzy Zeller was being interviewed while he was going to the clubhouse. Tiger Woods was doing gangbusters. It was very likely that he was going to win. And the rule is that if Tiger wins, he gets to decide what the dinner is at that function, at the dinner that day. And Fuzzy Zeller came out and said, I think the kid's great. I think he's going to be fantastic. I just hope that there isn't any chicken and collard greens in dinner at the end of dinner. Well, the hell if all broke loose when he said that, which, again, many people who heard it laughed, but a lot of people, of course, the news media just went, what? And they lost their minds. Fuzzy Zeller lost his Kmart deal, which, again, at the end of the day, so what? He lost his Kmart deal. So
I guess I have to share with you since you mentioned that.
Yes.
It was like, I think a sports figure was being roasted. You know how they do the roast?
Yeah, sure.
And one comedian says, look at all the black people here. This is not a roast, this is a barbecue.
Wow.
They all cracked up.
See, again, look, this is the whole deal. And people talk about this like in the chat room saying Reese never found a racist joke he didn't like. Yeah, because back in the day, this wasn't a problem. But let me tell you what the deal is.
Right.
Listen, I would say if you really want to shock your system for all you sensitive little Nancy boys who, again, suck your thumb and put yourselves in a fetal position, let me give you a little shock to the system. Go on YouTube and go check out the Dean Martin roast. And make sure that the guest of honor is Flip Wilson or Richard Pryor or Muhammad Ali. And watch
Muhammad Ali,
exactly. And watch Don Rickles do what can only be described as the most racist jokes known to man and watch everybody on that dais, black, white, and Puerto Rican, because, they were up there as well, laugh their behinds off and nobody take it seriously because it was done with love. So, the Ripple thing was brilliant. So that's why I'm giving you props for it.
Well, the nice part is we don't need to be politically correct because we're not politicians.
Exactly. 100% correct. I appreciate you doing that, sir. That was really, really good.
Same
Ripple. When's the last time that's been better? But you got to go way back in history for anybody to understand the Ripple comment. But gosh, that Fuzzy Zeller thing, I had never heard it. I remember people talking about it because I wasn't into golf at the time. And people talking about it, and then I remember looking it up and hearing it, and then actually watching it as it happened. Go look it up; it's around, and it is done. I think. Let me tell you something. Here's the reason why Fuzzy Zeller lost his Kmart deal. It's because it wasn't done in a funny way. Like Fuzzy Zeller was not a comedian. He didn't even know how to deliver a joke. It was done with a degree of consternation. It was almost like he was annoyed that people were talking to him about Tiger Woods. Many people chalked it up to him being jealous. I can't. I don't know what's in the heart of the guy. But when I watched that video, the first thing I ran through my mind was, I was just like, it's a messed up thing to say. But I just looked at it as, again, let me reiterate to make this clear. For all you New Jacks out there, I understand the effects of racism. It has everything to do with the person receiving it. Everything. It's nothing to do with the person. The person who's giving it is an idiot. It's how you receive it. Right? If it's going to be horrible, it's going to ruin your day. If it's going to make you mad, it's going to make you mad. If you're going to lash out, you're going to lash out. It's how you respond to it. I laugh at it because I've got no response. It doesn't mean anything to me. It just doesn't. It's not going to change who I am or what I believe or what I know. It doesn't change the facts. Just means that somebody said something stupid, and I treat it just as that. That's why I think it's the funniest thing in the world. I tell people all the time, tell me whatever you think. I meet them personally. They say it all the time. It's like, Reese, I got to tell you something, man. It's like, tell me. And I hear some of the worst things ever, and I never flinch. I just go, okay, that's how you feel. Thanks for sharing. It's never going to affect me. But all the rest of these little mealy mouths, weak-kneed, everything. Oh, I can't believe it. Oh. Pearl clutching. Oh. Did you hear what he said? Oh. These are grown-ass men. Like, I can't hang out with you.
Who you imitating, Mickey Mouse?
No, that's the way they sound. Oh. I couldn't hang out with you. I couldn't have a beer with you. You sound like somebody I'd go knitting with, not to have a beer with. Crybaby. It doesn't make it funny, Reese. Get a tissue. Crybaby. Bye, Keone. Have a good day. Coming in here with your feelings on your sleeve.
Put your feelings in your pocket.
Exactly. Put your feelings in your pocket, son. Oh, crying Keone. Anyway, we got more news and more views for you tomorrow. As I always say, radio is free, so we thank you for paying attention. Remember to keep JC in your hearts and in your mind. Sean Patrick, we love you and we miss you. Remember that panic is not planning, so plan your work and work your plan. Me, I'm Reese on the radio. You have a good night, pleasant tomorrow. Don't forget, you can check out the show immediately after the show. It is on our podcast page on Odyssey, and it'll also be on ReeseOnTheRadio.com. And you can check it out anywhere and anytime you like. In fact, in about an hour and a half, it will be posted, so you can watch it yourself and share it with your friends. Let people know about Reese on the radio. Okay? The more you grow that audience, the bigger my check gets, I think. Let's get to another check of the traffic and weather with Jason Catarinas and Mark Christopher in the BPS Traffic Center. Good night, guys.
Hey, I'm enjoying the Red Sox cap today.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. Oh, yeah, this is my favorite.
Yeah, it looks real good on you.
Thank you,
sir. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Fenway Park.
Looks very good on you, Reese. We'll see you tomorrow.
You got it.
Hey, if you're heading into Hartford right now, 84 eastbound, no problem.
All right, good sir.
Traffic now as you move out between
Mañana, my
50 and
friend.
59.
Yes, sir. Enjoy your night.
Thank you, man.
Line, we
You
have
too.
an accident there. Left lane and the HOV lane blocks stay to the right. Westbound 84, no issues. Vernon.
All right. Gitlow is off. I don't even know what the F that is. Tell some more ethnic jokes. I dare you. You obviously don't listen to this show, Keone. Don't you listen to this show? You're an avid fan. You love this show, Keone. Oh, Jesse Lee. Hey, Keone, Jesse Lee Peterson, that man hates you. That man hates you. I don't hate you. I love my brothers and sisters. I love them every day. I just ain't going to kowtow to you. That's why I'm a threat. If I wasn't a threat, you wouldn't be here. You wouldn't complain. I love it when you complain. I love it that I bully you. I upset you, hurt your feelings. I feel good about that. I like watching you whine. That's power. I love that power. You just don't get it yet. The more you complain, the more power you give me. You're smart, you just walk away. But you can't. Because deep down, you know I'm right. That's what it is. I love every bit of it. Yeah, I do. So go enjoy more of your black Pope. The Pope is black. Did you actually come here telling me that? Just what kind of knucklehead does that? What kind of lunatic comes onto my show to tell me that the Pope is black? What are you, an idiot? What are you, new here? What are you really that dense? Nobody cares. Nobody gives a damn that the Pope is black. Doesn't change anything. Doesn't change anything. It's the dumbest thing I ever heard in my entire life. It shows that the stuff that means something to you is absolutely infinitesimally vapid. It's the most moronic thing that somebody could be praising. Is he a good person? No. Because while you're praising Pope Leo as the first black pope, here's what you don't know. Your so-called first black pope allowed a father, a priest, to stay on his grounds while he was hiding out from child molestation charges. You didn't know that? I would look it up. Your first black pope has got a lot of blemishes on him. The Chicago Sun-Times even reported about it the same day he became the pope. So while you're sitting up there aligning yourself with the guy, you know nothing about him. Perhaps you should look it up. Yeah, and thank you, Jim. He's a White Sox fan. Canceling. Race means nothing in America. Nothing. Because every person who's pimping it is worthless. There are no redeemable characters who are pimping the race hustle. None of them. There's nobody pimping race who has at least a redeemable quality. No one is. Not even you. Sexual harassment, dude. Is that what you're saying? What charges? Have there been any criminal charges, Keone? Where are the criminal charges? You see any? Go look up your black pope. Go look him up. And if you're suggesting that because Donald Trump has 19 charges, are you saying that you're okay with that then? Because the black pope who would harbor a fugitive, not let anybody know that he was sheltering him? You're saying it's okay now, right? Because of Trump, right? That's your excuse? Come on, dude. That's how weak this is. That's how weak you are. That's how weak your argument is. You didn't even know that about him. You were touting him and you knew nothing about him. You knew no background. You're embarrassed. That's why you're scrambling. I told you before, my man, I'm a hater. I'm an informed hater. I do this hate thing well. It's well-researched hate. It's well-sourced. Okay? Try again next time. We'll see you back here. It's only Monday.